ancient times the harp would strum, lyres and psalteries, melodies would.
Welcome to our journey through the life of Saint Oliver, the patron saint of peace. Today we'll explore his life, his death, his greatest accomplishments, and how his story holds symbolic significance for our own lives. Oliver Plunkett was born on November 1st, 1625 in Ireland. From a young age, he showed a deep devotion to his faith and a remarkable intellect. Despite the oppressive anti-Catholic laws of the time, Oliver pursued his religious calling, traveling to Rome to study for the priesthood. Saint Oliver Plunkett lived during the 17th century, a time of brief Catholic resurgence in Ireland, quickly suppressed by Cromwell's forces. This was the backdrop of Oliver's early years. He excelled as a seminarian at the Irish College in Rome, dedicating himself to both his studies and the spiritual care of others, even visiting hospitals and praying in the catacombs, connecting with the history of persecuted Christians. Like his fellow seminarians, he took an oath to return to Ireland for missionary work, regardless of the dangers. In 1669, Pope Clement IX appointed him Archbishop of Armagh. Oliver's journey back to Ireland was covert. He disguised himself as an Italian tourist in London to avoid detection and adopted the persona of Captain William Brown, complete with a wig, pistol, and sword. Back in Ireland, he ministered in secret, administering sacraments and preaching in both Irish and English, reaching many who had been deprived of religious services for decades. Oliver was a tireless advocate for education. He founded a school in Drogheda, staffed by Jesuits, aimed at educating both Catholic and Protestant children. However, this caught the attention of the authorities, and the school was soon destroyed. Despite this setback, Oliver's faith and determination never wavered. The persecution intensified in 1673 when Catholic bishops were ordered to leave Ireland and bounties were placed on their heads. Oliver refused to abandon his flock, writing, "We shall not abandon our flocks unless compelled to do so. We shall first try out the prisons and other torments. We have suffered so much in huts and caves that it will be less inconvenient in the future." His commitment to his faith led to his arrest and imprisonment in Dublin Castle, and later in Dundalk, where he faced trial without the right to defend himself. St. Oliver was taken into custody and imprisoned in Dublin Castle, where he endured harsh conditions and isolation. His imprisonment, however, did not deter his spirit. He continued to minister to fellow prisoners and maintained his steadfast faith in the face of adversity. In 1681, Oliver Plunkett was transferred to London for trial. The trial was a farce, marked by fabricated evidence and biased judgments. Despite the lack of credible accusations, he was convicted of high treason and sentenced to a gruesome execution. Transferred to London, Oliver endured a harsh winter in jail before his trial. He was sentenced to be hanged, drawn and quartered, a brutal punishment he accepted with the words, "Deo gratias," thanks be to God. On July 1st, 1681, St. Oliver Plunkett faced his martyrdom at Tyburn. The execution was carried out in the most brutal manner of the time. He was hanged, drawn and quartered. First, he was dragged through the streets of London to the gallows, a procession meant to humiliate and intimidate. Despite the physical ordeal, Oliver Plunkett remained resolute, praying silently and forgiving his persecutors. At Tyburn, he was hung by the neck but released while still conscious. This was followed by being disemboweled while alive, a horrific act intended to prolong suffering and serve as a warning to others to showcase political power. Finally, his body was quartered and his limbs were publicly displayed as a grim reminder of the consequences of defiance against the crown. St. Oliver Plunkett's martyrdom was a stark example of religious persecution and injustice. His courage and unwavering faith in the face of such brutality have inspired generations. He forgave those who condemned him, embodying the principles of peace and reconciliation he lived and died for. Even in his final days, Oliver celebrated Mass secretly in his cell. On the gallows, he proclaimed his innocence and forgave those who falsely accused him, saying, "I forgive them with all my heart." He knelt, made an act of contrition, recited a psalm, and uttered Christ's words from the cross, "Lord, into your hands I commend my spirit." When Pope St. John Paul II visited Ireland in 1979, he spoke of St. Oliver Plunkett's example of forgiveness and reconciliation. Plunkett lived and died with no bitterness, embodying the love of Jesus Christ, who lays down his life for his flock. In an era marked by discord and intolerance, St. Oliver Plunkett's example reminds us of the importance of standing firm in our convictions while striving for unity and understanding. His dedication to bridging the divides between Catholics and Protestants in Ireland serves as a poignant reminder of the power of dialogue and compassion in overcoming differences. In our own lives, we can draw inspiration from St. Oliver Plunkett's courage and forgiveness. By advocating for peace, extending kindness to others, and seeking reconciliation in our relationships, we honor his legacy. St. Oliver Plunkett's martyrdom also teaches us about resilience in the face of adversity. Despite facing persecution and injustice, he remained steadfast in his faith and forgave those who wronged him. His willingness to forgive challenges us to examine our own capacity for forgiveness and compassion, even in difficult circumstances. In essence, St. Oliver Plunkett's story encourages us to embody the values of peace, faith, and reconciliation in our daily lives. Whether in our communities, workplaces, or homes, we can contribute to a more harmonious world by following his example. Let us reflect on the legacy of St. Oliver Plunkett and strive to emulate his virtues of peace and forgiveness. May his courage inspire us to build bridges, heal divisions, and sow seeds of hope in our troubled world. Amen.